Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Space Institute. And we are back with hopes of learning more and sharing more, and hopefully to understand a little bit more about our own world of creation. In the past few weeks, as we talk about the DNA and what we call transformation of our energies through what we call the nitrogen to cosmic rays, and our connection to other points, and in a way a conversion inside the body of the man, we have to realize an essential point. Every structure has a DNA. A stone, body of the man. As we know with the trees, as they carry different combinations of fields and energies, the stars, the galaxies, what we call to have a formation combination. In the human body we call it DNA. In a universal structure is the same. It's a building blocks of a bigger structure. We see with our eyes the galaxies. We see with our eyes the stars in the galaxies. These are all part of the structure of the bigger DNA of building that universe. Because our universe again has a DNA. It has a specific combination. That combination leads to a life. So DNA, what we call as a DNA structure of body of man, is a small scale structure in a given pattern that applies to every living things in the universe. Man only has concentrated to understand about his life, his structure of life. Stone has the same. This solar system has its own structure of DNA because it leads to production of the same things repetitively and can be replicated inside it. We see bigger stars as the boundaries, smaller stars in the other boundaries, and sometimes inside smaller compact structure in the center, but they're all placed in the same position. If the world of the science start looking at galaxies, they'll see the same structure. All galaxies have the same structure, the same as body of the man, because there's a rhythm, there's a structure to it. And then you have a connection, hidden connection, we call it the DNA. It's the same, how they communicate with each other, how they place each other. This becomes important in the structure of some DNA, some RNAs. We call it genetically modified. We modify plants, we call it cloning in the world of animal, which is actually the same as genetic modification in the wheat or the rice. We just chose the same or different names for the same process. We got to realize the same process exists when it's forced. We modify, we created what we call it cloning a new animal, but it can repeat itself the same, and you don't know which one is the original one because they're all the same. But we do it in a different way in the matter state too. We create a cup, we create a fork, we create a car. All these is the same modification, but we enforce the change. We make 1 million of one cup, 100 millions of spoon. But that structure has again DNA, and again the structure to keep itself together has a soul. In a way, has a point of balance and communication, has a point of confirmation. And this goes back again, if you remember, A few times I have referred to it, to the couple in Italy, where the guy was trying, forcing his face, trying to move the cup in front of him. In fact, if he could have realized this is a man-made, genetically modified structure which has a soul, if I could get in touch with that point, if I could connect with it, I could move the cup. Then you understand you don't need to create field forces of matter state to move. This is important because when it comes to moving you in transmutation, when it comes for you to move in transmutation, and you want to go from A to B on this planet, your DNA stays about the same. Your emotion stays because you're within the same condition, atmospheric condition. You have known this atmospheric condition. Your DNA, your RNA, your soul, a combination of creation of your soul of physicality, is a structure to fit this environment. So you have to remember in that process, oh, you left a pen in your pocket, the key of the house in New York is in your pocket, it better be there, because when you manifest yourself in New York, you need it. Living in London, we usually put it in a wallet. We put it in our suitcase that when we get there, the keys will with me. Now, in that process of transmutation, you have to create a common denominator position that the key when you arrive in New York is with you. When you get there, the shirt and the clothes is on you. You bought summer clothes. When you get to a position where you are now is a winter time. So you don't want to manifest yourself in a hot place with a fur coat. Then this comes to a lot of things that you as knowledge seekers who start this process go back to common denominator. The same says, I made man in the image of myself. The truth is, I made the universe in the image of myself. Because everything has a soul, and the image of the creator is the essence of his creation, not the manifestation of his creation. And if you understand this, if man reaches to that point, then you understand when you arrive in the hot place, the soul of emotion, knowing that you need the temperature will be warm there, what is in your suitcase, which is needed for that point of manifestation, will manifest to please you. The same as the way the guy was moving the cup with the forces which wasn't there, but he could get in touch with that through the soul of the entity. And I said, and I mentioned many times before, you say, I want you, I want to be pleased by pleasing you, that you move. It comes to the same point. Because as we enter the dimension of transmutation, all these things come together. It's no use me, you having a beautiful fur coat in a warm, in a cold place, and you turn up in a warm place with no clothing. Where you already packed the swimwear and the bikini and the summer shirt in the suitcase. Because you haven't learned to transfer the totality of the emotion that these are the things I want. Next time I pack a suitcase to go for transmutation, I say, oh, this is what I need to be because it's warm. This is what I need. So you transfer the soul of the object with you, which is, but found to you looks a bit strange, but that has been the teaching of the Keshe Foundation. In time, you understand more and more what it is to you strange is the reality of what it is. But when you go to another planet, this shirt, this clothing, this swimwear is no good to you because there's no water. It's a desert condition and has no air, and there is no way you can go sunbathing because the object of physicality there in the condition of the environment does not allow sunbathing unless you're a stone. And a stone which can live in that environment, not a stone which is on our environment. And a lot of materials we see as a stone on this planet cannot exist in other environments, cannot exist in the condition, or is a variation of, not necessarily the same of. We call it the isotopes of it. And this becomes important for us in the first stage in the process of the transmutation. And it's essential for us to learn that we have to go to the basic. We have to go to the fundamental element of creation, which in a way is that fundamental plasma. To embed the totality of the need, the totality of the essence of what man has gained in that single structure, as we said, as we always explained, the plasma is created by interaction of the fields, collection of the fields. And then you understand, even the fields bear emotion. Even the fields bear the intelligent DNA, the strength, the narrowness of it. This strength of the field is emotion of happiness. This strength of the field is the emotion of sadness. Then you understand, even the rays carry the soul of the creator, because in essence, they become the creator of the totality of that fundamental element, which in its division then become what we call hydrogen, and its division and amalgamation and in receiving radiation from its field of its own as a ray or as a field lead to creation of the what we call heavier elements, bigger plasmas. That's all it is. We call it hydrogen, helium, and oxygen, and the rest of it, because it has more packages in it. It's the same in the soul of the man. You have a stronger field, and what is strengthened leaves that fundamental plasma, create that essence of the totality, which contains everything. In a way, whatever you call it, your genes, whatever you call your hormones, is only effective to this planet. Because the hormone which makes something of you to be whatever, creator of emotion, creator of certain part of your body, is all under the condition of this planet. And as totality, when you move, everything moves with you. You don't move from London to New York and leave the kidney behind. Then what we see is no use traveling with half of your kidney missing or your pancreas missing. When you transmute everything and all that attributes of creation of that entity moves as an energy field. And if you learn or live and create a condition of the same in another position in the universe and keep that constant, you'll manifest the same, what we call working of the systems. In a way, if you go to what we call these beautiful parks where you see they create the humidity, the condition, the rainfall condition of the equator in the North Pole, and you go there and say, oh, this is like being in what we call equator. That's what we do when we travel in space. When we travel with these systems, we travel with the conditions of feeding, creating oxygen and keeping it going. As long as we are on Earth with that condition and within the condition of what we call the solar system, which supports this life, we stay more or less the same. When we go to another planet, another structure of the solar system, all has to fit into the environment, otherwise you don't exist. You're finished. There's no oxygen. So what are you going to do? You cannot breathe. What's the use of the lung? What's the use of two legs when you're in a liquid environment? in the mold of the man, we call it mutation, Darwin theory, evolution. You have to evolve instantly. When you arrive in a new position, in a new destination of the time and place and space in the universe. And the only way man will realize that he will carry the essence of his life, his creation, is that original line, the essence of the creator, the essence of the fields, of the energy of the creator, where all will confirm and convert to become at a point of manifestation, will it will be in the dimension of the observation and observer. And this will be very hard for many knowledge seekers to understand. In a way, we convert all this, what's in the body of the man, all the memories, all the emotions, all the DNA and RNA, everything else, into one fundamental plasma, into one variation of the different fields, which create in its collection and its division according to the point of manifestation to a human body, to an alien body in another position which he or she lives in that environment, and to a dog, to a cat, or a stone. We always misunderstood. And once, now we have no choice, because now the fact is that the technological development understanding of the man is pushing man to that frontier to understand that what is next. How can I recreate myself? How can I be in the perfect condition when I manifest myself on the moon, on the Mars, or in whatever, in planet Zeus, or anywhere else in the universe? Man, the soul of the man, combination of creation of the life of the man cannot end just because the physicality ends. In a way, if you understand it, as I said before, the soul of the man, in essence, is a connection to the soul of Creator. The soul of Creator, the rays, the fields of essence of the motion and the division of it in a condition, atmospheric condition of the earth, has led to creation of man through evolution to what it is now, because it befits it today. It's like when you have a herd of animals in Sahara, or you have a herd of animals in Africa. One animal eats the top grass, one animal eats the middle grass, one animal eats the short grass, and they all live and live together. Because each one creates a condition for the other one to be, but in essence, they're all connected to each other, because if the top one doesn't eat the top, the one who's used to eat the bottom cannot and dies. But in essence, they all serve each other. And they all come to the same point of manifestation in different shape and sizes or whatever, to be able to survive, to mutate, to evolve, and Darwinians call it, to go through whatever they call the sense of evolution. But now we have to understand this is the sense of emotion, the sense of the fields of the creator within a structure of one plasma. We call it the fundamental plasma. And it's been there in the book 1. This is now you understand what it means. Why is it fundamental? Because the essence of the soul of the creator in the dimension of the strength of his creation is within it. When you arrive as a soul in a destination on a newer structure, in another galaxy, in another universe, you're that single plasma. And every part of emotion of what you earned, learned, and whatever achieved on this planet is as fields, as rays in this plasma. So you don't carry your arm and a leg inside, and you don't carry your whatever other emotions inside as pieces. So we understand even the fields, even the rays inside the plasma carry a soul. Carry a soul in a way it means they understand the participation, and understand their position in keeping the whole structure together. And when you manifest yourself as a fundamental plasma, as an essence of one soul, everything else is carried in there. There's no arms and legs and hearts in it. Even emotions, even your genetic coding, whatever you assume, assumption and understood, is within the structure of the rays of that fundamental plasma. And how those rays interact with the environment leads to creation and manifestation of your physicality at that point and place. This is why we always have stars. And this is why each star has its own atmosphere, its own structure. We call it the solar system. When you are a star, you create your structure. This is what you are. And the emotion of what you gathered, what you started with as the first seed of that star, shows in your planetary system, shows in the structure of how many planets and dust and everything else in you. And then you understand why, as I said many times, we see planetary system on a certain points structured what we call closeness to the edge of the galaxies and universes than inside, because of compactness, because of the strength which holds. But in essence, everything we have, everything we possess, everything we have created comes from that point of the original fields. And this is where we go back to. And we become and we divide into, and according to the strength we carried in the soul of the man, in a space when there is no dimension of physicality, then we become the seed of that star. And what we gathered in the strength of the field inside dictates what we absorb, what we release in that area, in that environment, in that condition, position, and time, to lead to the creation of the next cycle of life, and not necessarily life of man. But carries the emotion, carries everything else within it. And as knowledge seekers, you have to understand this. Because when it comes to the point of transmutation, you go back to that fundamental plasma. That's what you become. And then you can transmute instantly to any position and take shape, place, time, and what it, according to the emotion you carry inside. I want to be in New York. I end up in New York because New York has a feeling and emotion and place for me. I want to be on the moon. You land on the moon. And we have shown this by repetition in all the tests we did, that we ask people to go to the moon and they all end up in the moon, because that's the instruction within the emotion of the soul to satisfy that I want to, and I'm listening to what I've been told. And some of those who don't want to, they go where they want. As I said, one of the knowledge seekers, maybe 3 or 4 of them, came, I have no interest to go to the moon. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to go to do this. I've come here to do this. And this is for that purpose, that in the tests and trials which will carry on with us, we start to narrowing you, your condition, to become that fundamental plasma. And even as totality, all of those souls who participate, to accept one, to transfer the plasma into, to be released at the point and time and place and the position they want to go. I'm going as a plane from London to New York. Who wants to go to New York? I can carry. If you want to go to Texas, I can't carry you. If you want to Beijing, I can't carry you, because I'm not planned. I don't carry that strength. I'm not coded for that condition. And then you understand, we choose and we point into that way. And we go back to the essence of the creation. The teaching of Mitra. You want a perfect fundamental plasma to be. It doesn't talk on the other side that it talks good. It doesn't act good. It doesn't do good. It lives good. Because if not, it will have no position and place to manifest itself at a time, place, and position in the universe where it lands. And this is what I always said. The beauty is to be able to create. Show the beauty of the Creator to be able to regenerate. We create children of ourselves to show that we have the essence of the Creator. Creator let its fields, its rays to our creation. And we call ourselves creator of our children. And if knowledge seekers understand this, that how you transmute and what it means, and now further you understand even the rays within the structure of the plasma of the soul of the man carries all emotions according to their own strength fields, then man is ready to travel. Then man is ready to move on to travel the span of the universe. And if man understands this in totality and goes back to the fundamental plasma and goes back to the fundamental ray which created that plasma in initial state, which is the ray of the Creator, the essence of his creation, then man has achieved, man will be able to reach his Creator. In so many ways, as I said, when you look at the magnets, the space gaps, when you put iron dust on it, there's a lines, you say these are a line of magnetic field. Our science has not taught us that the gap between the lines is the fields that are going in when you look at the North Pole. And that's how we go back to our Creator. Within strengthening enough that the matter state manifestation of the line are irrelevant as we are going through the space by higher energy fields of strength of the fields to go to the center, to reach. And again, once we reach, we come out of the bottom of the line, which now in the present of physics they call it, is where the fields goes, the South Pole. The same is with the South Pole. Where the fields go in, you see the dust lines of the iron. Where is the gap in between? Is where they come out. It's the same as electric current and eddy current. There is not only one way of circulation of the fields, it's both way. And how these two interact leads to creation of the manifestation of physicality as time, place, and position. And then in time, you understand. I have started teaching more and more about the gaps between the lines you don't see, that the lines you see in the magnetic fields. Those gaps you don't see is the gap, is a line, direction, and position to the center, to the Creator. Where what you see in the North Pole has already passed through the Creator. As you have a center in the, what we call structure of the physicality of the man, you call the soul of the man, you have the same. But what do we do? Why is the soul of the man positioned on top of the head of the man and not on his foot? Because you eat, you feed, you absorb energy from a universal community of strength of the fields of the universe. And as it goes out through the north side of the man, it becomes the entry to elevate the soul of the man on the top. It's very simple. In a way, if you look at it, the totality of the life of the man is nothing but to feed his soul. Nothing but to stand, to strengthen that soul. And this is all we do. We eat from this planetary system. We live in this planetary system. And in that process, we actually, without knowing, through our physical condition, feed our soul in the dimension of the life of the physical. The gap which we in the fields at the bottom of what we call the South Pole of our soul is the feed and energy comes up from the physical absorption of the more fields of the universe in what we call 80% from cosmic rays and 20% from the physical matter of the planet, that what is radiated out is absorbed by the soul of the man on the top and leads to elevation of the man, leads to understanding of the man in his totality. And then our soul of physicality creates a dimension, creates like a pressure cooker for what is being absorbed, what is being digested from a physical life and a dimension of the other rays of the universe in radiating out reaches the physicality of the man. And then stayed within the physicality of the man, that it can transfer his energy on the top to the soul of the man to create his elevation. Elevation, it means to absorb enough energy that is different than the matter state creation of the field which created it. And when that point reached, man, we call it in a physical life, dies. But if you can keep the soul of the man so hungry to absorb more fields, you keep the body of the man working to feed it, you can live an everlasting life in the dimension of physicality. In a way, never allowing the top to reach the point of maturity, expand it to more and more and more, that can absorb more to stay longer in the dimension of physicality of the man. Or you transmute it, you transfer it from one position to another without the dimension of physicality, but you find a way for the soul to be fed. You embed part of that dimension of the physicality fields which feeds the soul into it, that it can create that position, embed that position. And it's where what we call the carbon 12, the carbon 14, and what we explained last week, the nitrogen comes into play. In a way, converts from 14 to 12 to the physical life, and what you gather more, you put it back in, converts from 14 to feed back into what you don't need, or feed back to the soul of the man. To bring that extra fields to the nourishment of it. In a way, if I always said, if you understood, as before many times, the womb of the mother is created to create, to hold the physicality of the man with the soul inside it. I cannot supply much more, 9 months maximum. And then when you come out, now the womb of the mother is changed with the womb of the planet. But still, the soul of the man is within the womb of the physicality of body of the man. And then you understand the process of creation. And then, as I explained many times before, why the reproduction point of all the animals and everything else is in a further distance than the soul of the man. And the soul of physicality of every animal, even the plants. Doesn't matter, is above the ground or below the ground. You need that apple on the tree with the soul of the tree and the roots of the space of the earth, that the transfer of energy between the two confirms the process of reproduction and confirms that we take what it needs from the environment. In a way, if you look at it, the soul of the man is on the head. And the soul of physicality is surrounding it as a plasma. And what is absorbed in the physicality and converting the energy feeds to the soul of the man to elevate from, as you call, under and over. And what the soul feeds the body of the man to survive. And if you understood this, you understand what I tell you. The soul of the man is the feeder of the physicality. And can be. Then the man does not kill. You have to look in a very simple. The soul of the man sits on the top. The soul of the fields of the man, what digests, sits on the top. Whatever you absorb from the environment, even though sits that way, at the end of it will go in directions out. And as it comes in. So in a way, your body, your physicality feeds the soul of the man. To apologize, we have an internet problem and we lose pictures very easily. But you understand. And the fields is in reverse back. Rick, you have to do your screen, please. We lost the network. And then you understand, in that invisible part, that is the gap between the lines and the bottom, is where the energy comes back into the physicality of the man from the universe, from the unicos. That again goes inside the soul of the physicality of the man, that it feeds the man to absorb more from outside. In so many ways, man will understand very, very soon how he, in understanding the totality of the process of the creation, he can reproduce the energies of the universe within himself. How he can reproduce the energies of the cosmos within himself. And then how to use it to transmute. Am I a stronger field? Am I a stronger plasma than what I have created? Or has it become stronger than me as I have created? The same as I am the origin of that. I live within it, the essence of my creation. And this means man finding out, analyzing this process, can live forever in the dimension of the fields, in the dimension of the fields of the universe, the way the Creator has. And in turn, in time, this will bring man forward to another understanding of his own creation. But we need to learn this step by step. We learn to need how to transmute. We learn to need to do this because in time we become part of the process ourselves. We become part of the structure ourselves. At some points, our soul is the feeder, and at some sorts, at some points, our soul is a giver. And then we have to understand how we process this knowledge, how we come to activate it, and how we can activate it, at what position in the time of the transmutation, in the time of what we call arriving at a given point, and what we call a destination. And soon or later, man will understand this in a very simple way. As man develops new knowledge, understanding the process of the creation. And the process of creation has no computers, has no ever known any other processes except the interaction of the fields of the creation. And this process will take a long time for man to achieve. It will not happen just because you manage to transmute today. It will not happen just because you manage to do it once. You'll find out as you go through the transmutation, I went there, I did something, but I couldn't move the thing. I went back in physicality and it wasn't there. Because you have forgotten, even in the dimension of the soul transmutation, to understand the entity you want to move has a soul. I've tested this with many knowledge seekers, especially those who are now we are working in a structure of what we call transmutation system. Is I tell them go home and move something. They go home and they physically, in transmutation, get a cup, move the food of the cat, and they go home and it doesn't happen. Because you have not understood. You are mixing the two. It's an AC and DC. AC does not work with the DC and DC does not work with the system which are AC. You plug it, but there's nothing there. When you move, when you go to the point of transmutation, you hold an apple which is in the house, you see, you communicate to the soul of the apple, I want you to move to the new position. That when I come, I see you there. And the soul of the apple moves. Not, I went home, I moved the key and I went home and it wasn't there. I went home, I moved the chair and it wasn't there. Because again, in the dimension of physicality, as you are used to, you took the apple and moved it. You haven't learned, you have to communicate with the soul of the apple for it to move. The story of the Italian boy in Valletta. Then when you go home, the apple has moved and it's where it is, and the cat food will be in the position you left it, not the way you left it in a physical dimension. And then you say, I can move things. Those who can move things understand it's not the dimension of physicality. And because you move the soul, everybody else will see the physicality because they're observers of it. How many times you have won lottery in your dreams and you come back, you're still a pauper in the physical life? Because you have not learned how to transfer the soul of the money you won in lottery back to the dimension of physicality to give you the pleasure of. And then you say, I found the treasure, because you brought the pleasure in the dimension of the soul. These are the things you knowledge seekers have to understand. And then you come to the point to understand more that in reality, the dimension of physicality is not much, but those who especially look at seeing the Keshe Foundation in the dimension of being successful here and there is not my interest. It's trying to bring the knowledge that everybody understands the essence of the creation. Doesn't matter with agriculture, with health, with transportation and the rest of it. Because at the end, it's the same. How can you produce more carrots from the same when I do? Because I carry the essence of the energy of the fields of that emotion that the carrot wants to show its best. And those who doesn't work on it because you haven't understood the essence. You were too busy, I make ganses and that. Because it's not the ganses, it's the fields. How many times I keep on repeating to you as knowledge seekers? You look for a matter for crumbs. I gave you the structure of the technology of the creation in the fields it creates, the combination, how to separate them, the one you need. And then how you use it when you achieve it. In essence, from today's teaching, you have to understand exactly what is what, and what you carry, how you feed it, and what is the totality. In a way, when you leave this physical body of the man, it's one plasma of you. It's not one plasma of your arm, one plasma of your leg making you. It's one plasma of you. You become that fundamental plasma. And every fundamental plasma has a connection because it came from the source to the creator. which line, which field, which strength of the ray in that plasma was the creator, or is connected to the strength of the creator. That he can take you back. And if as knowledge seekers you understand this, if as knowledge seekers you come to that position to be able to comprehend the totality of the teaching of today, you have learned to live in the universe. And it take you even past half an hour, 45 minutes of teaching, lifetime of man on this planet to understand fully what it is. And not just your life. So you're happy because you can use a mobile phone. It hasn't made you the engineer to manufacture it and to create it. Now you have to understand the energies, the fields which created you in the division of the totality has become you, is from the essence of the creator itself. And how they arrange themselves became your kidney, your brain, your hormones, your other things in your body, the vitamins and everything else. But they have found a way to operate to keep your manifestation. And because you have created such a condition inside the physicality of the man, and you have managed to condense it in different form, is exactly the position of the creator, which has created himself within you, and he has condensed to that point, feel the strength of totality. And if you understand this, you are one step further to understand the process of creation. You get one egg to lead to creation of such a handsome and beautiful child. Now you can imagine what you received from the creator, which led to creation of you, that you could manage to transfer to create such a thing. And then if you understand the beauty of what you see as your child, you can imagine what the creator sees as beauty of his own cosmos, and then his own unicosmos. Then you understand every structure has a point of infinity, but has a point of affinity, which means we have to understand the origin of life, the original fundamental plasma, which is our soul. And it's in division, and in the field it radiates, it leads to creation of another cycle of life. It leads to creation of another dimension, from a plasma to an atom of hydrogen, and then from division of the fields inside and in the environment to helium and the rest. The whole process of creation has started with one ray, but understanding how that ray has, in interaction with its environment, has led to the creation of the atom and the combination of plasmas, which call them different atoms, and the molecules and the creation. And then it goes back to one fundamental point. If that ray needed to travel in a space that in its division with itself, with the interaction of the environment itself, leads to creation of other plasmas to become helium and the rest, then the soul of creator, which led to the creation of totality of the unicos of the humanity or life, needed and has an environment given to it by bigger structure, which that structure in essence is the structure, the creation and the creator of us as men, as humans. And in that process, it leads us to the next point. It leads us to the confirmation and creation of what we call another structure, another position, time and place. How we, what we call change, how we evolve, how we come to be part of, all goes back to the same process. What is the fundamental plasma? And what led to the creation of the fundamental plasma? And to what extent this fundamental plasma can, will, and will be leading to creation of the next step, next generation of life, next understanding of the totality. And to what extent we can understand the whole process of the creation. Does the fields of the soul of the man become the man? Another cycle of creation. Or would it become part of the process of totality in creation and in dimension of life of the, what we call universe? And in a way, the body of the man is a unicos on itself, with many universes, which we have chosen different name for it. Milky Way, let's say, is the kidney of the man. And another one is another lymph, and another galaxy is another point. In a way, we are replication of the life, the structure, the division of the fields, and the organization of them working within each other. We just have chosen the body of the man as a body of the man. And we call the other one galaxies, and we call it the unicos, when the man itself is the unicos. With the brain and everything else, has an emotion, has a physicality, has a control system, and so is with the unicos, which comes from the rays of the Creator. And that field can repeat itself again and again. That field can replicate itself again and again. To what extent man will come to understand this depends on the maturity of the man in understanding the process of creation. And sooner or later, as you understand more, as you have understood in the past year, then you see, I can teach this. I can teach up to now because I understood this part. And then we'll see the process of you, step by step, becoming what we call the structure of the man itself. And in that process, we become the essence, the totality of the structure. And in essence, we stay as part of that structure. But at the end, maybe today you understood how you have to transmute. What has to be a second, what we call the skin of the man, to understand the totality. And then we go to the next step. And in teaching, we understand more why we need to, in a way, to connect the whole structure of the knowledge of the man, knowledge of the creation, knowledge of the Creator, together as one, for man to be able to transmute. Otherwise, you'll be the same as our knowledge seekers of today. I can transmute, I can go, but I cannot manifest myself because you haven't learned how to do. I can go home and move the apple, but when I go, the apple isn't, because up to now you move the physicality of it. You're no different in that knowledge than the boy 10 years ago in Valletta. You don't move the cup. You give pleasure to the cup, to the soul of the cup, that it'll give me pleasure to see you in that position. And for that point, for that purpose, the cup will move to satisfy the pleasure. Always remember, the soul gives. To keep the connection and to create a connection, that you do not move as my movement is giving life to you to exist. And this is part of the teaching. This is what we push. And as I said last week, the same. We have to understand which part of it comes to convert from carbon 14 through nitrogen to carbon 12, and which part of the energy of the carbon 12 converts into within what we call nitrogen to go back to carbon 14. Because the balance of the fields of the universe always stay, and there's a limitation how much you can carry. And when it's too much to carry, that neutron divides. And once the neutron divides, it means I receive so much that in its division leads to creation of new atoms. If man one day understands even the process of the creation of atoms, you're easy to say this is copper, this is zinc, this is this, this is that. But in fact, if you understand the what I call, let's put it, theology of the creation of the elements, then you understand that neutron which absorb more energy, or that atom which absorb more energy in the process of the creation and the environment, that energy in life of the man, we call it a child. In the life of atom, becomes a neutron, and it has a dimension of cycle to hold. And in that atmospheric condition within the nucleus, when it gets to a position, it splits because it cannot hold. It's exactly the same as the cell happens in the womb of the mother. They split. And so that combination creates that element. You give it a certain condition, you create that element. And if you bring all the fields together, you can create any condition, any element, anywhere in the universe. Then you understand material things has no value. Because you can create as much gold and silver and everything else. What's the use? And those who stuck and get stuck with the material world, always the greed of the material world bothers them. As I said, I lived on this planet for so long. I carry not a car in my name, not a house in my name, not a thing. What is on my back is what I carry. Because I know, even if it comes, when the time comes, it's not mine. Because in essence, we are fields in transition. And all our job is to give, to point to that to be done. And the left is done. It's what they do counts. As you've seen, I gave many nourishment, many steps to all knowledge seekers. Anywhere in the world, you want to start something, but then it comes to the point, what did you learn? What have you gathered from it that allows you to do the job, not me to be there to always to provide? And when they fail, it's Mr. Keshe. Because I understand the essence of creation. We are there to keep the seed. It's for you to nourish the seed. Because you still are entangled in physical dimension. Everything is wrong with the sketch except you're looking inside. Why it failed? I am responsible for it because I never understood what was the purpose. I stuck with the physical dimension. Then you understand. That process is the same as you trying to move a cup in a physical dimension when you are in the realm of fields of the universe, when you transmute. This is when I started to talk. You end up in New York with no key in your pocket to get into the apartment because you did not manage to satisfy the soul of the key in the house. You don't need to go to New York because there's a problem there. I stay, you go. Then you understand the process of the creation and how many of you have problems with your transmutation. And if you understood this in the upcoming month of June, and then in July and August sessions, as we build up to Iran, I'll explain to you how to transmute. I'll be in there physically to teach you, holding your hand step by step. Every 5 minutes, every half an hour, every 2 minutes, putting your next step. We're going to New York. You're sitting in Switzerland, you're sitting in Germany, you're sitting in Africa, you're sitting in United States, As a knowledge seeker, you put your soul in it. You have to understand, when you go all together to one point with me, you have to understand how I satisfy the soul of my partner, that if I go, he's happy to be. How I satisfy the soul of the key, I want to bring the orange suit with me. Is it there? You don't need to talk to. You need to create the fields of the satisfaction. Talking is for them. Understanding the field of strength is the job of the soul. And this is the emotion of the soul which you have to learn. And then you understand. When you transmute, you don't need to go in the toilet of the aircraft to change your clothes from the fur skin to the bikini to land up in a warm place. It's very strange if you don't understand it. I explain to you in a very simple way. Anywhere you go, in the embassies and the governments, you go with the same clothes, you come back out with the same clothes. Except in the Iranian Republic embassies, anywhere in the world. Women come with the high heels, with the big, everything else, makeup and everything. They put a scarf around their head and they become Muslim. They go in there, they get their passports, they get their work done, they come out, they take it out, and they're again back European with the minis and the rest of it. You cannot do that with your soul. As I said, the love of the Creator has come from the heart of the man and not from the talk of the man. And this is where knowledge seekers have not managed to transmute. The others are not fooled that you came in the embassy just with a scarf to get your job done. Because they know what's under that scarf and how you live outside. And you cannot do the same with your Creator. Wrap it in the body of the man, blame everybody else for it, except knowing it's your own conduct which has brought you to the point, the time, and place, and position. And this is where you can transmute if you understand this. If you don't understand, all the work is nothing, because it cannot show anything, because it's you who have not understood which field of your own soul to use to understand the process of the creation. I hope you learned a few things today, and I hope you can apply it to start becoming what I call the passengers of the universe. As I said many times, I always said, I'll take you to universal community, but it doesn't mean that you can become part of it if you have not understood. I can take you to the source, to the spring of the water, but I cannot teach you how to drink it if you don't want to drink, even though you put your mouth and lips on it, but you don't swallow the truth of what is the knowledge of the creation. Thank you very much. We go for a break and we come back, and I hope we can answer or share more knowledge.